Karen's sisters filled my pool with soap, so I turned their pristine lawn into a foamy disaster zone. Have you ever walked out to your backyard on a Sunday morning, ready to relax, only to find your swimming pool bubbling like a giant dishwasher on steroids? Because I did, and I knew exactly who did it before I even saw the suds. The Karen sisters. They lived 2 houses over Shelley and Denise Peterson. 2 loud, overbearing women who treated our suburban street like their personal HOA kingdom. Neither had a job I could confirm, but they had plenty of time to patrol the neighborhood with clipboards, scold kids on bikes, and report violations like unapproved wind chimes and grass an inch too high. When I moved in 6 months ago, I built a modest but beautiful in-ground pool, fully permitted, fenced, and compliant. It became my little oasis. A few friends over on weekends, soft music, no drama. But Karen doesn't need a reason to hate something. She just needs it to make her feel small. The first time she saw my pool, Shelley, the bigger one with an angry jawline, sneered, "Is that chlorinated properly? We don't need mosquito farms around here." Denise added, "And the splash noises are honestly a bit much for a residential area." I offer them both a smile and a wave. Thank for the concern. Everything's by the book. That didn't stop them. Over the next month, I found my trash bins flipped twice. My patio umbrella mysteriously ripped. My dog barked at the back fence more and more. I installed security cameras just in case. And then came the bubbles. It was a warm Sunday. I walked outside with my coffee and immediately dropped the mug. My entire pool was frothing thick white foam bubbling over the edge like whipped cream in a horror movie. It spilled across the deck. My pool pump was straining, coughing, whining like it was dying. It didn't take long to find the empty soap bottles. 4 of them. Industrial dish soap. The security footage? Crystal clear. 2:42 a.m. Shelley waddled up the side path, holding 2 bottles like trophies. Denise followed, whisper shouting about showing him who owns this block. They unscrewed the caps and dumped them over the fence into the pool, giggling like evil elves. I could have called the cops. I could have sued. Instead, I got creative. I did a deep dive into their yard habits. Turns out, they were obsessed with their lawn. Weekly treatments. Solar-powered moisture meters. They even had a sign that read, "Certified Eco-Friendly Turf Steward." So, I hired a friend Jackson who owns a foam party business. And we had a plan. At 5:30 a.m., 3 days later, under the cover of fog and sprinklers, Jackson and I set up 2 foam cannons, one facing each direction across their front yard, powered by their own hose spigot. Timed release. 7:0 a.m. like clockwork, their irrigation system kicked on. And boom, foam tsunami. By 7:12, their entire lawn was submerged in thick white bubbles. It spilled into the street. Their fake solar frogs were buried. Mailbox, gone. Bird bath, looked like a latte. Shelley came charging out first, shrieking. Denise followed, wrapped in a towel, slipping in the foam and face-planting near the curb. They screamed, called the fire department, called the police, claimed domestic terrorism. But when the cops showed up and saw the security footage, I handed over off their 2:42 a.m. soap sabotage. Yeah, they shut up real quick. The officers stood in the foamy street, boots covered in suds, while Shelley screamed something about biohazard warfare, and Denise demanded they test the chemicals immediately. The cops didn't look impressed. I calmly walked over, handed them a flash drive with the footage of the soap attack on my pool. This was 3 nights ago. I figured we'd let the neighborhood see how petty things can get when lawn pride meets bubble rage. One of the officers chuckled. The other turned to the Karen sisters. "Ladies, you're clearly seen trespassing and vandalizing private property. You've damaged a pump system, which is a felony in this county." Shelley gasped. "Blood foamed our lawn." He held up a finger. "From a public hose spigot. On your property. And not a drop of damage to anything structural." "But our turf," Denise wailed, dramatically pointing to a lawn flamingo now resting atop a mound of suds like it had survived a shipwreck. "And our HOA rules," Shelley added. "They prohibit foam cannons." That's when the first twist landed. The officer raised an eyebrow. "Funny thing about that, this street hasn't had an active HOA in 5 years. Turns out, their so-called HOA authority had been fake for years. No board, no votes, no structure. Just two Karens printing flyers, forging names, and bullying people into silence. The cops began collecting statements, and that's when Twist 2 dropped. While the officers were still there, a neighbor Mrs. Patel stepped forward with a sealed manila folder. Inside were 23 fake violation notices she'd been receiving from the Maplewood HOA for the past 6 months, all with forged contact info traced right back to Denise's Gmail. Forgery, mail fraud, trespassing, vandalism, and suddenly the suds didn't seem like such a big deal anymore. The officers placed both sisters under arrest right there in the front yard, suds still floating in the air like snowflakes from Karma's personal cloud. As they were being walked to the squad car, Denise slipped one more time, shrieking, "This is war." I called out calmly, "You started it with soap." The neighborhood came alive. Folks stepped out clapping. One guy across the street had already updated the community group chat. Foam justice served cold. As for me, I cleaned the pool, got a new pump, reimbursed by their insurance after their lawyer begged me not to press more charges. Jackson's foam gear? He ended up booking 4 more neighborhood peace parties. And the Karen sisters? Their turf died within the week. The chemicals in the foam? Organic. But de egoburn. Permanent. I planted a little wooden sign by my pool gate. It reads, "Respect boundaries or bring bubbles." So now let me ask you, was I wrong for fighting back with foam and laughter? Or did they finally slip face first into the consequences they deserved? The end.